Welcome to the Coconino County Courthouse. I'm presiding Judge Mark Moran of the Coconino County Superior Court. We've prepared this short video to introduce you to our courthouse and help you understand some of the duties that you have as a potential juror. Historically, jury duty has always been one of the most significant acts of community service a citizen could perform for their fellow citizens. First and foremost, a jury trial is a constitutional right guaranteed to all persons, citizens and non-citizens alike. That guarantee can't be made without citizens like you serving their communities in jury service.
The American patriots who fought for our independence from Great Britain were ready to lay down their lives for rights they believed in. These rights included, among others, the right to freedom of religion and speech, the right to confront one's accusers, and the right to a trial by jury. Leaders of the American Revolution were outraged when colonists taken to court for violating the hated Stamp Act and Navigation Acts were denied the age-old English right to trial by jury. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson emphasized depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury as one of the major grievances leading to the American Revolution. In 1787, the members of the First Congress of the United States insisted on preserving the right in our Constitution to ensure that future generations would be judged by their neighbors or a jury of their peers and not by the government. 10 amendments, known as the Bill of Rights, were added to the Constitution and ratified by the last necessary state in 1791. The Sixth Amendment states that in a criminal case, an accused person has the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of their peers. The Seventh Amendment states that in all civil cases where the money value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved. Now, although $20 was worth a good deal more in 1791 than it is now, it was a sum well within the range of ordinary people. Every state constitution has adopted the principles of the Bill of Rights to a trial by jury, supporting the commitment that the right to jury trial would remain inviolate. Secondly, jury service is one of the highest services a citizen can perform for another fellow citizen. Thomas Jefferson thought that the common sense of 12 honest men gives a still better chance of just decision than any other method of trial. Now, we judges know that your service as a juror can be a hardship on you, your work, or your family. But please also understand that the law provides that a juror can only be excused from jury service if their absence from work would substantially and materially affect the public interest or welfare in an adverse manner, or if your service as a juror would impose an undue hardship on the juror or someone in your care. Now, with that in mind, let's take a closer look at what your jury service is all about.
Both our state and federal constitutions guarantee every person the right to a jury trial in both criminal and civil matters. By serving as a juror, you play a significant part in ensuring that this right is afforded to everyone. There are only two qualities a potential juror must possess. You must be impartial and willing to follow the law. There are several qualifications you must have in order to serve on a jury. They are that you must be a resident of Coconino County, you must be 18 years of age or older, and not have any felony convictions unless your civil rights have been restored. What does it mean to be impartial? It simply means that you will keep an open mind while you hear all of the evidence and will not make up your mind until you join your fellow jurors in reaching a final decision. Now, I realize that certain types of cases, especially in criminal matters, can bring up very intense emotion in jurors. However, you must be able to put your feelings aside to the extent that you can fairly and objectively listen to the evidence and then make a fair and impartial decision. The second requirement is that you must be willing to follow the law. The judge will tell you what law you should follow. It will be your duty to accept the law as the judge tells you and then apply that law in reaching a decision.
With that said, let's take a look at the process of becoming a juror. In a little while, the bailiff will come and escort you to one of the courtrooms. You will then be seated and will take an oath to give true answers to the questions that will be asked. The court clerk will then read off a list of randomly selected names. Those jurors will then sit in the jury box. This is known as the empanelment of the jury. The judge will then begin asking you questions regarding certain issues. These questions are not designed to pry into your personal lives. However, the attorneys will be listening to your answers in order to make their selections as to who they believe would make a good juror. This process of asking questions of the jurors is called voir dire. If you have a hearing problem, please let the court know in advance. There are headphones available to help you if you have trouble hearing the proceedings. After the judge is finished asking questions, the lawyers will be given an opportunity to ask follow-up questions. Please understand that there are no right or wrong answers. Just be honest and complete in your answers. Answer the questions, but don't use the answer time to make a speech or appeal about something about which you feel strongly.
Ladies and gentlemen, these questions are not designed to embarrass you or place you in an uncomfortable position. If you would like to answer my questions outside the presence of the jury, we can do that in my chambers or in a sidebar. At an opportune time, the bailiff will take you to a private location, most probably the judge's chambers, and there will be the judge and the lawyers will give you an opportunity to answer the question away from other jurors. After the lawyers and I have asked all our questions, we are going to do what's called pass the jury for cause. We're going to ask you to take a break so we can pick this jury. Stay close to the courtroom or the jury assembly room unless you are instructed otherwise, as this process may be completed in a short period of time. After this process is completed, you'll be taken back into the courtroom where people will be chosen to serve on the jury to be selected. If you're not one of the ones selected, please do not take it personally. Attorneys have all sorts of reasons for why they believe one juror may be more acceptable than another juror. Some attorneys even make their final decisions based on whether or not the juror was a pet owner.
If you are selected, here is how the trial will normally proceed. First, the judge will read you preliminary instructions about how you are to view the evidence as it is presented. Second, the judge will read you the admonition or a list of do's and don'ts that will govern your behavior outside of the courtroom, such as not listening to the television or reading in a newspaper about the trial. Third, the party bringing the case will give an opening statement about what they expect the evidence to be. This opening statement is a brief summary of the facts each party intends to show in their case in order to persuade you that you should decide the case in their favor. If it is a civil case, that party is called the plaintiff. In a criminal case, that party is called the prosecution or the state. Fourth, the defense will be given an opportunity to present their opening statement, or they may decide to wait until the plaintiff has presented their entire case. Fifth, the plaintiff will then begin presenting their case by calling witnesses to testify and present other evidence. The other side will then be given a chance to ask questions of those witnesses in order to test the credibility of their testimony. This is called cross-examination. After the plaintiff or prosecution has presented all the testimony and other evidence they have in their case, the defense will be given an opportunity to present their side of the case, if they choose. The plaintiff will also have the opportunity to cross-examine the defendant's witnesses. Sixth, after the entire case is presented to you, then the judge will read you the final jury instructions that will give you the law that you must follow in deciding the case. Both sides will then give a closing argument. At the close of their arguments, You will then be taken to the jury room, where you will discuss the evidence and the law and render a decision. Finally, you will come back into court and give your decision to the judge, where it will be read in open court.
In the last few years, Coconino County has instituted a significant change for jurors that has been adopted statewide. After both sides have questioned the witness, the judge will then turn to the jury and ask if any of the jurors have any questions for the witness. If a juror has a question, they simply write it down on a slip of paper and hand it to the bailiff. Both sides will then meet with the judge in a private conference, and if the judge believes the question is relevant and admissible under the rules of evidence, the judge will ask the juror's question of the witness. The service you'll perform for your fellow citizens by serving on a jury will help keep our constitutional rights strong and healthy.
Our courthouse recently underwent a major redevelopment and expansion. The room you're in is a benefit of that expansion. This is the jury assembly room. Previously, jurors would have had to stand in the hallways until called. There was no place for jurors to sit, read, and relax until they were called for the impanelment process. Hopefully, you will find these surroundings much more accommodating and comfortable. Should you have any questions or concerns, the court security staff are here to help you. We hope this video has helped you to understand your duty and service to our community as a juror. We hope your service as a juror will be a positive one.